And welcome back to GearHeadGeeks, where in this video we are going to go back to work on a little Yamaha JT1, and we're going to make it pretty, at least prettier than it is, and that's not too hard to do, but it's going to get better. We're going to do some painting on it, we're going to get our wheels cleaned, we're going to do a little bit of restoration on the brake link and whatnot. We're going to make it look new again, maybe a little zinc coating here and there. But it's now time to start going through all of this stuff to take these old rusty nasty parts and make the bike look good. We still have some work to do on the paint. We got to do some touch up. We're going to have to work on touching up the fender. So follow along and let's get that done. Feel there. It's a 21, so that's the same as 13/16, but it's a 21. So we'll get this guy off. These adjusters are in really poor shape, but that's okay. We'll get them all cleaned up and back, and washers are in the wrong spot. They're bent. And we are going to do a bit of restoring on this guy. It is nasty and in rough shape, and when we're done, it'll look like new. Our swing arm needs to be cleaned up, so I'm going to take it over to the wire wheel and just clean up all the rust and any excess mud that's still on there. And we'll give it a coat of paint, and we'll be able to put it back on and start getting, well, we got to get the top painted first. We'll get all that done. We'll get all the washers and stuff off of there and get it nice, but not bad. Well, we got most of the Crust-Oleum off of this. It's not bad. I'm going to do a little sanding on it so the paint looks good, and it will be good enough. And we're going to be using a little bit of paint that can go over bare metal. It's kind of a primer and paint all in one. And we're just going to paint away at some of this stuff. Okay, our little frame is painted over here, and our swing arm is probably close to being dry, which it is. But what we want to do here is, this guy's in pretty good shape. I've cleaned it up already. But what I think I'll do is I'll just kind of polish on the end of that. Put a nice little polish on the end of that. So when we put the swing arm in, at least it'll look good. So now that I've got the swing arm back on, the shocks need a bit of a bath and some TLC. They're a little bit nasty. So we're going to clean these guys up, get them ready to put back on. They're just covered with the oily clay, dirt, whatever it is. So I'll be back after I get these things all cleaned up. And like everything else on this poor little motorcycle, bent, destroyed, beaten to death, both of these. So I'm going to do my very best to gently straighten these guys back out, and then we are going to work them over so that they look nice and shiny and new and still have zinc coating on them. And now our little part is pretty much straight, but That leaves this one. Actually, I might have another one. And we do. It's at least it's not bent. Yeah. No, we have a good one. One good one. Nice. Okay, to start looking at these parts a little bit, as you can see, this is the spacer for the rear axle, and it is crusty. We're going to make it a little experiment here. We'll see how good this does with using aluminum brightener. All right, and all you do is you just spray this stuff down. Anything that's zinc plated, and then we're going to take these washers and do the same thing with them. Get it spread around in there. Just let it soak in a little bit. And then we take just this little stainless steel brush and we're going to lightly scrub off any extra dirt, and we'll see how that does. Now this thing, this is 45-year-old zinc that's been abused, left out in the elements. It's been in this clay, mud stuff and grease and everything else, and it is just truly nasty stuff. I mean, you can't hardly get it off. You have to almost mechanically deal with it. So we just scrubbed it off a little bit, and we'll take a couple of these washers and just scrub them down a bit and see how they come out. Okay, so now I'm just going to rinse them off. So here we are. Is it perfect? Well, there's some missing zinc on it, but it looks fine. We can put that on. We can put the bad side down or whatever it's going to be, but that is just taking some aluminum brightener to it. Our washers and stuff have got some rust that needs to go away, but they're in pretty good shape. They will clean up nicely. There's some paint on them and whatnot where somebody has messed around with them, but they're not looking that bad. We have some rust on that one. That needs to be cleaned up. But that's fine. Good enough for what we're doing. Okay, so now we've got this thing, which is in pretty rough shape. You can see it's bent. It's supposed to be straight. So we're going to go on ahead, and we got aluminum jaws in the vise, and we're going to go ahead and start straightening things out. We don't want to use a hammer on it, and the reason for that is it will leave marks. So what we're going to try and do is just get that straight. Then I'm going to roll it in a little bit, and then I'm going to start just bending it back. So now it's straight again. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to soak this thing down with some aluminum brightener. Let's see how it looks. And after a quick going over with the aluminum brightener, it is beautiful. It is ready for prime time. We can put this back on the motorcycle and it will look great. Just a little bit of chemical reaction on zinc makes a big difference. Now, if your zinc is in bad shape, it's not going to repair the zinc. But what it does do, if the zinc is gone, you need to put some more on there. But in this case, the zinc is all here, so we can just go on ahead and clean it. When we don't have zinc, we can do a little what we call brush zinc plating, and we'll have some parts to go do that with. There's obviously some more stuff that needs to be done. I was going to do it on this, but there's no need because all the zinc is here. And we got the axle nut. This is the brake holder. Here's the nut and washer that holds on that brake arm, and they're nasty. So I'm going to go hit these guys with some aluminum brightener, and I'll be back and we'll see how it looks. And after a quick scrub with the aluminum brightener, They look good enough to be put back on. All that crud is gone. It's got a nice little shine to it that's just, you know, I mean, it's an old bike, and that's fine. We can live with that. But it's in relatively good shape now. That's much, much better. Well, at the moment, I'm de-rusting the fender. So let's take a look at this sprocket here, and you can see how bad it is. You can see this is what it used to look like inside here. The backside is just as bad. The chain is, well, this is the backside. This is the front side. So either way, they just look terrible. So what we're going to do here is I'm going to take that aluminum brightener, and let's see what we can do with this. This has got some zinc on it. We'll see what it does. And again, we're just taking some aluminum brightener. We'll spray it down. And the only thing that we're going to use on it at this point is a very soft wire brush. And see if we can't get some of this crud off. And now let's wipe it off, and oh, there it is. Okay, and we'll take a look at it. Well, is it perfect? No. Is it good enough? Absolutely. Okay, so after a whole lot of scrubbing and a whole bunch of aluminum brightener on all the zinc parts, I just scrubbed up the rear wheel with a scrub brush and put a little fresh grease in the bearings and made sure everything is in nice shape. Our rear end is back together and it's ready for a chain and all the other good stuff that goes along with it. Well, we have a new chain here. It's in beautiful shape. The owner of the bike provided it, and it doesn't need anything other than to be cut to length. So let's go on ahead and get this laced on here and see what we need to cut, if we need to cut anything. And we're going to be cutting that guy off right there. And we're just going to use an old-fashioned chain breaker here. There's nothing special about this, but you do just grab it right where we want it, right there, and you just wind this guy in. Make sure you're on it. And this little 428 is really, really easy to cut. It doesn't really require a lot of effort to do. We'll get our whole link off of there. The next one. Get that out a little bit. Get the next one. There we go. All right, so take this. We put it on here. And then we have our master link. And we'll just push that on through. And that. And the clip goes on so that the way you put on a clip is there's a round part and then there's the open part. Well, what happens is you want to make sure that the wheel is turning this way. So if this clip were to stand still and the wheel turns that way, it would be going into the closed part to make sure it doesn't want to come off. So you just take this, you put it there. I have a specific set of pliers that is made just for master links. This is something you really don't need. These are just kind of something I picked up. But anyway, it pops the clip on and it is done. It's in good shape. That's nice right there. We'll do the other side and we're going to take a look and see where we are on the marks. Okay. Yep. And we can go on ahead and tighten it up. And once you get the nut tight, you can then go on ahead and just snug down the adjusters, just so that they can't back off. And that's it. And our chain is on. So it's now time to start working on this rear fender. It looks good on camera, but it really is bad. This thing is chipped up. The red is dull. This is just me wiping on it, getting that a little bit better, just looking at it. And this is the bottom part of the fender that didn't get exposed too much, so it was just covered with grease and oil. So now it kind of cleaned up. So down in here, but back in here where you can see it, it is horrible. This is all nasty. The fender was a little bit bent, and I had taken and kind of worked on a little bit. There's an internal brace inside, makes it really hard to work on. So I'm going to clean this up a little bit. I've got some pliers that allow me to do some bending in here that we can do a little more straightening and get this thing out. And then I got to figure out what I'm going to do for paint. I think I've got something that might match. These pliers are designed to grab lips and bend them back. Let's see if I can show you here. But you can grab onto a lip and bend it where it needs to be. So we can kind of take this and bend it, and we'll get this kind of pushed back into where it needs to be. Get this lip straightened out a little bit. Oh yeah, that's looking much better. And now this was all, somebody had looped it, and so now you can see it's in its right shape for the most part. Okay, so continuing on with our rear fender operation here, I've taken some 400 sandpaper over to the sink, and I've just gone over these bad spots here. I'm going to put a little bit of white primer on here, and then we can go on ahead and put some sort of whatever finish paint we need. We'll do some taping on it, but we'll just get some white on here first, maybe a little white on the bottom of this to just give us a color. And I think I found the right paint for it. I've got 3 different shades of red paint, and one of them, they're all close, but I think I found the one that we need. So with that being said, I'm going to continue on and just go in and do a little spritzing on this just to get some white onto our bare spots. And I'm just going to do it lightly at the moment. Don't need to get crazy here. I just want to get some, it just needs a little bit of little help. Okay, good. I'm going to take this outside where the sun is really shining, and we will let it dry. Okay, now that we've got our primer on here and it's dry enough, we're just going to throw some gloss white on there, and then what we'll do is we'll let that dry, and then we'll tape it off, and then we can go on ahead and put on our red. And I've been shaking on this a little bit, and hopefully this stuff isn't too terrible. Oh, glossy, and it covers pretty well. Good thing I'm wearing gloves. Alright, we got some glossy paint on that. I'm going to take it outside, let it dry, and we'll be good. Okay, so continuing on with the fender, we've got our white on here. It's fairly decent. It's nothing great, but it looks good. I'm going to be using a vinyl fine line tape. It's not crinkly like regular masking tape. It's vinyl, and there's a very, very sharp edge. So you just have to take your time and just go over. We already know where our line is, so that's good. We just have to be very careful and get onto it. It's a little hard with the shadows, but for the most part, it's not terrible. Alright, so now that's all there is there. Do the same thing over here. And this stuff isn't that sticky, which is good. because you don't want it peeling off your paint. We're good. Okay, so now we have our taped off portion of it. Now we need to finish up this. Okay, that's that. Okay, I think we're okay with that. So here's what we're going to be using. Rust-Oleum engine enamel. Got the right amount of red in it. And I think I'm going to go on ahead and take this outside though. I've gone ahead and put on the first coat of red. We got our white on there. We're all taped up. We'll see how this goes. It's out in the sun, so it'll dry fairly quickly. And then we'll peel off that tape, and once that's all peeled off, we can go on ahead and put on a coat of clear. So I went and peeled the tape off, and this thing is just gorgeous. It is really, the paint's the right color, everything. It just needs a coat of clear. Okay, our little fender has been outside baking, and it looks pretty darn good. It came out really good with a minimal amount of work. So all that we need to do is just put it in. Alright, so now all we do is just take a little 10 millimeter and tighten everything down. So it's time to start working on the rear brake system. This is the brake rod that came on it. As you can see, it's a little bent and it is a lot ugly. It's not in good shape, but you never know. When we're done, something will look good. The first thing I'm going to do is straighten this guy out. So we've got this thing straight again. Not bad. So I guess the first thing to do is just to go over this with some super clean and some aluminum brightener. And let's see what it does. So I'll be back. Okay, after a quick cleanup, it looks much better, but it does not look good. It is, I could use it this way, but we can do better than this. It's missing some zinc in here, and we're going to replace that. And so here is our little brake lever. I've cleaned it a few times, but it's still really, really bad. This is just beat to death. It's zinc plated, and most of the zinc is gone. The pedal, which used to probably extend out and over a little bit, but it is what it is. I've straightened this out at least enough to where when it fits on the motorcycle, it isn't sticking way up in the air. I probably bent 15-20 degrees out of this thing. So what I'm going to do here is finalize any bending I got to do on it, and then I'm going to start grinding off all of this nastiness, and we'll get this thing down to where it looks good, and then we're going to re-zinc it. Well, with a little bit of work, I've gotten this thing cleaned up pretty well. There's machining on it, but it's got no zinc on it. If we left it like this and it got damp, it would just rust. So this has still got some zinc on it. What we're going to do is we're going to replate this the easy way, and then we'll clean it up, and it will look pretty close to new. The pedal is about half the size it used to be because it's all been ground off. But it is what it is, and that's what we're going to live with. And it's not that bad. I might want to clean that up a little bit. Yep, it's all cleaned up nice. So now what we're going to do is we're going to mix up the chemicals and everything to go on ahead and get some zinc back on this. And we're also going to take and get some zinc back on this stuff. Okay, so what we need to do here to be able to get some zinc back on this thing, I've cleaned this thing pretty well. It's not bad. I got most of the crud off. I got all the crud off of it pretty much. Got all the rust and stuff off of it. I've kind of cleaned it up. It looks pretty good. It's still pretty bad. I mean, this thing was mangled, but we just want to get some zinc on it, make it look good. But what we're going to use for zinc is we're going to take an old battery, just an old used up. This is a Harbor Freight Thunderbolt Magnum battery, and we are going to peel off the outer skin, and it comes off fairly easily. So we just peel it off. There's a little plate on it, and peel it all back. And underneath is a zinc battery. This is made of zinc. This is zinc cover. So we're going to plate it with this. It's just that simple. I'm going to move in a little bit, best I can, and we'll get it pushed down a little bit. So what we're going to do here, first of all, I've got another one here. We need to mix up the chemicals. And the chemicals are really, really easy. This is just plain old white vinegar. Cheap. You get a gallon of it for like $1. And we're going to mix in about, we'll just put some in. I don't know, that much. There's just, we're going to mix it about 1/3 white vinegar and 2/3 distilled water. And I'm using distilled water because everything I've read says use it, so I'm using it. So 2 parts, 1 part vinegar, 2 parts distilled water, and some Epsom salt. You can use table salt. You need the salt to create this electrolyte, basically. We got a little acid in there with the vinegar. Get some salt, and we just let that dissolve a little bit. I can guarantee you right now, though, this metal bench does not like vinegar. It will rust up so fast it'll make your head spin. So I'm going to try and sop this up the best I can without making too much of a mess. The next thing you need is some sort of power supply. Now, you can use the little power supplies that you get with almost every accessory. The 5 volts that use the USB power supplies, you can take those and put some alligator clips on them or whatever. I've got a dedicated power supply over here. It is designed to give you power, and they are inexpensive. They're like $30, and they are really, really useful. You can put, when you're trying to work on electrical stuff, they work great. So it's a good idea to consider getting one of those. Now, our salt is mixed in. We've got our vinegar and we've got our distilled water. And now we have the lead to our power supply. And over here somewhere, I've got another little a little alligator clip I use to hold this stuff. I need to brush it off a little bit, little hokey. And the vinegar and stuff gets to this stuff, so you just got to kind of brush it out. No big deal. So now what we're going to do here is we're going to take we're going to take this, and now I've got some makeup pads. These are just makeup pads. I stole these from my wife. Please don't tell her. And you take that and you wrap it around the battery. And then we take this guy, and that's going to kind of hold everything in there. But what we have to do here is you have to make sure you have an electrical connection. So you have the electrical connection. It's kind of holding on to everything. And then we can take our positive and we will hook it to this guy. And then we're going to take the negative and we're going to hook it to our part. Okay, negative's hooked to the part. We'll move this back out of the way a little bit. Okay, so now what we need to do is we can turn on our power supply and make sure we're not shorting out to the bench, which we are. And we've got it set for, we want to set it for 5 volts. And what we're going to do here is we're just going to dunk this in to our mixture. And we are going to take, and we're going to start doing, we're just going to start wiping this down. If you look, the um, uh, the power supply is now showing that it's taking current, and right now it's at a 0.5 amp. So what I'm doing here is I am just taking and rubbing this zinc, and what is happening is it's transferring from this to this with the electrical current, and we're just brushing it on. Now in this situation, you can use 5 volts. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to up the voltage just a little bit so we get a little bit faster transfer. And I'm going to run this up to about 7.5 volts. I don't know if you can see that. Yeah, but, and we just take more of this and we'll start looking at the current. Yeah, the current's gone up, and that's good. And you see it sparked a little bit when and I can see the color changing. I don't know if you can see it, but it's changing. It's turning to a dark gray, and that dark gray is nothing more than the zinc coming off the battery and going on to our part. Now, the reason it's dark is because I've got a little too much current here. I'm going to do this quickly because I don't mind going back over it and cleaning up a little bit and making it look better. But we are getting a nice even coat of zinc over this guy. Another thing you can do is just kind of put it in your solution and put the battery in the solution. You can see it's drawing current, and it's putting some zinc into the little grooves. But we have a fairly big part here, and we're getting it zinced. Now, I need to get this part in here, especially this side here where you can see it. Make sure this has got plenty of zinc on it. And we're getting, I can see what's happening here. It's a little hard, maybe the camera doesn't pick it up, but what's happening is I can see the gray starting to become even. And that evenness is just nothing more than that zinc getting on there. Now, if I hold it, you can see it gets real dark, and that's okay. At least I know there's zinc going on there. And that's all I really care about. I want a coat of zinc. I'm not really too concerned about the actual finish of it. I just want zinc on this part. Okay, so our part is pretty well covered. So I'm going to go now, and I'm going to take the original that I straightened out, and we will go on ahead and get some zinc on this. Oop, that doesn't work. I say nothing is happening. I guess you need to put electricity to it. It does help. Okay, there we go. Now, we're starting to transfer. Let's say I wasn't seeing any of the dark spots going away. Okay, so that is we've now got zinc on this and this. These guys got a little zinc going on them. The spring got a little zinc, and we can turn off our power supply, and we can then take and get all this stuff out of there. And I'll put a cover on this so we don't waste it, because we're going to be doing some more. But we got a cover on it, and I'll put this away. All right, now that we've got all that done, I need to wipe up my bench because it will be rusted here in no time. You can see it's already got rust starting. But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go over and I'm going to take a little bit of aluminum brightener. And as you can see, this thing is kind of dull and ugly. It does not look good. Let's see what it looks like after some aluminum brightener. So after just nothing more than aluminum brightener, our part is not looking too terrible. It isn't perfect, but it looks darn good. Okay, I'm going to go do the same thing to this, and let's see how it comes out. Okay, there we go. If you can see it, that is just aluminum brightener, and all these parts are looking almost new. I put some more zinc on it, using the brush method, and this is all done. This rod is all cleaned up and nice. Everything around the rear is nice.